Hello and welcome to the Healed with Alyssa podcast. I am so excited for you guys to learn more information from me. This podcast is going to be all about helping heal your child and your family naturally without drugs or surgery. So let's get into it. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Healed with Alyssa podcast. I am Alyssa. I am a holistic nurse practitioner that left Western medicine to help families heal themselves and their children naturally. So on today's episode, we're going to talk all about sleep in kids, right? This is going to be different obviously than sleep in adults. Some things can pertain to sleep with adults as well. So if you also are struggling with sleep, definitely tune in so you can listen to what I have to say. So first off, we're going to talk about diet. I feel like I start all of my podcast episodes with this, right? Because it's like diet, clean air, and clean water are like the foundations, right? So if we're not having these foundational steps and then we're jumping into all these, remedies and this and that, then we're gonna hit some roadblocks, right? So the first thing is always going to be diet. So the number one thing I see affecting kids' sleep is sugar, right? Sugar is very inflammatory to the body, right? So when we eat high sugar, right? Like think about your child goes to like a birthday party and then all of a sudden their behavior is crazy and then they're not going to sleep, then they're overtired and things like that. So definitely sugar is one. So if your child's eating a lot of sugar, look at how much they're eating, cut back. A good thing to look at is the nutrition facts of what you're giving your child. You should be surprised how many kids' products are actually contain a lot of sugar, even organic. So something like kids' organic yogurt pouches, right? They have added sugar to them. So you want to just look and make sure that there's no added sugar on these yogurt pouches or whatever you're feeding your child. If you're not making it at home, you're buying it, you want to look at specifically the added sugar, right? So on the nutrition label, you'll see it says, how much sugar is in it and then how much added sugar is in it. So for, just when you're starting off, you want to look at added sugar. So this means that they take, honey or white sugar, whatever kind of coconut sugar, this is added, right? This is not natural sugar, right? Natural sugars would be just like from fruit or, milk has sugar, things like that. So that's the first thing relating to diet. Obviously, drinking clean water, and I'll kind of get back to this after. I do recommend distilled water. I have a whole podcast episode on that. I'll link it below if you want to check out the podcast on what's in the water, why I recommend distilled water. You can go check that out. But yeah, clean water is a must. And unfortunately, reverse osmosis is not effective enough. And, like fridge filters are not effective enough. Clearly filter, Brita filters, things like that are not effective enough. So these are like the foundational piece. And just like a little hack that I've seen work really well for kids who struggle with sleep is to give them like a high fat snack before they go to bed. So or butter, right? Like I've seen people do this and their child sleeps like a baby. The fat is just so good for their nervous system, their body, their brain. So a good hack for your kids' sleep is you can give them a high fat snack before bed, right? So it can be like butter. You can do, I know some people do like avocado mousse, right? And they'll add like MCT oils to it, some nuts, but I would do like a high fat, snack before bed. And some people have said that's helped their children sleep so well if they struggle with sleep. Okay, so now that we talked about that, let's talk about some of the root causes that I see with kids having sleep issues. So most kids that come to me become because usually it's like a younger child, right? Like a toddler, even an infant, who is up multiple times a night. They're not hungry, right? They've ate enough, but they're up multiple times a night. Maybe they're screaming. They can't settle back down. They're struggling to fall asleep, right? That's another one that I see. Like it's taking them a really long time to settle and fall asleep. Once they fall asleep, then they're up within like an hour or two. And this was actually my story with my son. So at 5 months old, he was injured by routine medical treatments. I'm not going to say what it is so I don't get pushed off, but you can get the gist. And then that night, he was up screaming in pain, thrashing. Like I couldn't comfort him no matter what I did. It was very disheartening, and that was really the moment that my eyes were awoken to what was going on here. So, so that was that he was 5 months, and that continued on for about a year. So he would be up multiple times a night. He would be screaming. I couldn't settle him down. I would have to at that point I was breastfeeding him, so I would try to breastfeed him. I was very against bed sharing at this time. And the only way he would sleep was on my chest. That was the only way he would sleep. So what did I do? I slept with him on my chest because, when you don't get sleep, then everything else falls, to the wayside. Sleep is so, so important. I cannot tell you the importance of sleep. When we're sleeping, we are healing, right? We are making new cells during sleep. We're making growth hormone. We're making so many things. So it is so important that we are sleeping. And as a mom, right, postpartum, it's really important that we are getting good quality sleep because that's when we can be more at risk for like postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, postpartum rage, things like that, right? Because we're becoming depleted. Okay, so yeah, that went on for about over a year, and it ruined my relationship. It ruined my health because I went into a downward spiral with my health. I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease. I was withering away because I was so stressed. I wasn't sleeping. So the sleep not only affects the child, but it most likely affects the parent that's waking up with them multiple times a night. So some of the things that I like to use in my practice, one of the most simple things is doing magnesium lotion before bed. So you can rub the magnesium lotion on, the child's legs before bed. And this is a really easy thing to do. I usually do this with like toddlers, and yeah, it's great. It's there's no fragrance or anything to it, and magnesium is really good for helping the nervous system relax. So I'll link the lotion that I like to use down below. And then some of there's a bunch of different things here, but I would say the number one cause for sleep disturbances that I see are parasites. That's what it is. They're parasites. Parasites are more active at nighttime. So this is why, I hear it all the time. My child's fine all through the day, but then nighttime and they're like a different child. This is classic sign of parasites. Parasites affect infants. Like I have seen infants who are affected by parasites. How can they get parasites? From breast milk of mom, right? During pregnancy of mom. Maybe there's a dog. There's a lot of ways that we get parasites from. And just because we don't live in a third world country does not mean we don't have parasites, because we do. So If you follow me on social media, on Instagram, I talk about parasites a lot because they're the number one thing I see affecting people's health in my practice. It is not a fad to do parasite cleansing, right? This is truly a root cause for many people. I have a whole episode on parasites in kids symptoms. So if you want to check that out, go check it out. But I will link my kids parasite cleanse below. It is amazing. I have had so many people have life-changing results just by doing a parasite cleanse. There's also an adult one if you struggle with sleep issues. Another thing that I see affecting sleep is the Wi-Fi. Okay. So we should not be sleeping with our Wi-Fi on. This is something I recommend my patients do, is unplugging the Wi-Fi at nighttime. So when you unplug the Wi-Fi, it affects like the frequency of the house, right? When you have this radiation radiating through the house, you're trying to sleep, it will definitely affect your sleep. So a super easy thing you can do is unplug the Wi-Fi at night. And then another thing that I see affecting, this is more like some older kids, but maybe they're starting to get some like emotional stress around bedtime, right? So they're maybe scared of the dark, or they don't want to be away from mom or dad. So I have a great supplement for that. It's called ME Support. So what I like to do actually is just rub put like a drop or two on the feet and rub them together. That has been really helpful for many people struggling with, like kind of fear to go to sleep, or they don't want to be away from mom or dad. And I don't like, I don't, if your child wants to sleep with you, like that's great. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think innately our children want to be near us. So that's their innate thing. So if you can, most people notice that their kids sleep a lot better when they're with them. So go right ahead, as long as the kid's older. If the kid's younger, there's definitely safe sleep practices. So I'll link some resources below for safe sleep practices for younger kids. Just want to make sure we're being safe with that. So I talked about Wi-Fi. So the next thing that I see a lot of times affecting sleep for kids is their adrenals. Okay, so if you don't know what the adrenals are, these little glands that sit right above the kidneys, and they're the stress glands, and they have a lot of effect on sleep. Okay, and toxins obviously affect adrenals, right? So like parasites really affect the adrenals, mold, radiation, heavy metals, toxic chemicals, all these things affect the adrenals. But it's also good to support the adrenals, right? My favorite like basic thing to support the adrenals is CT minerals. So everyone that I see in my practice is basically mineral deficient. So people are like, well, I don't, my water has minerals, and most likely your water does not have enough minerals. And if your water does have minerals, you most likely aren't even absorbing those minerals. Most people do not even absorb the minerals. And people are like, well, I eat a whole food, nutrient dense diet. Well, unfortunately, our soil is depleted of nutrients and minerals. So our food is not as nutrient dense as it used to be. So we definitely need to take minerals. I think that everyone should be taking minerals. Kids who are dealing with sleep issues, minerals can be really, really helpful for them, which helps support the adrenal glands, right? Another thing, just like for stress, that, obviously look on what's going on in the house. as you as a parent work on your own stress and your own nervous system, because when we react to our children in not such a grounded state, this can further affect their adrenals. So adrenals is another thing. CT minerals is a really good supplement that you can give. You can open it up, put it in, some juice, water, put it in their water bottle for the day. So that's another one that is really good. And then my last thing that I love for sleep, and this has changed so many people's sleep, is the Healy. So if you don't know what the Healy is, it's this, I have it on. It's this little frequency device, and it is life-changing for me and many of my patients who have used it and other people who have got one. So it's a frequency device, and there's different programs that you can run to help. There's programs for sleep, and you can run this completely virtual. I use this with a lot of kids in my practice. You can also give almost like supplements as like nutrition through frequency. Yeah. So if stress is a big thing, there's a lot of programs for stress, programs. There's even a parasite cleanse program in there. So, I'll link below if you want to, look at the Healy, but the Healy it heals the body on such a deeper and different level than any supplement I've ever seen. It just clears out any noise. It helps really balance the nervous system. It's just really been a life-changing device in my health, my child's health, and then in my practice with my patients. So, yeah, I think that's all I want to say today about sleep. You make sure you're following me on Instagram, and I post more about there. You can DM me, ask me any questions you have in regards to this podcast episode, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye. If this podcast episode resonated with you, please share it with another mother or another family who's going through similar issues. And if you could please leave us a review and a rating, it would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.